Hello. Today is the first day that we are actually in person with some of you guys. Today's Monday. It's an A day. Tuesday will also be an A day. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will be B days this week. Now, today we're going to work on section 2.4. Also, this week we're going to end up having a test later on, and it's over sections 2.1 through 2.4. I believe that quiz is set up to be on Thursday. Okay, so section 2.4 talks about a lot of different things. We're talking about things that we worked on in Algebra 1, but we may not remember now. And so one of the things that we're going to work on is point-slope form. Now, point-slope form is another way to write an equation line. Actually, both these two things are ways of writing a line. Point-slope form is probably one of my favorite ways. I like using it a lot. To me, it makes a lot of sense. I use that quite often. Standard form, not so good. Standard form is really good for word problems and for graphing y-intercepts. But as far as lots of other things, it's kind of my least favorite way. The last thing we end up with today is talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. And so we'll continue on here a little bit. There's a lot of stuff here today. So we'll probably end up spending a couple days on this, making sure that we have a pretty good understanding again. Okay, so here's where it starts off first. Is write an equation through the point of 1/8 with a slope of 5. All right, now what we have right here, this is slope-intercept form. And it's really important that you know the names and how to go from one to the other. Slope-intercept form is the one that's used quite frequently. It's easy to put in the calculator. It's just easy to use, and so that's the one that we start off with. That's the one we use the most. Now, notice this, we're given a point and a slope. So I'm going to go through here, and I know that my point, my y value is 8, my slope was 5, my x value is 1, and I don't know what b is. So a is equal to 5 plus b is equal to 3. After I figured out this, because I knew what the slope was, and now I just figured out the b, I rewrite it to y is equal to 5x plus 3. And that's what you've done so far. That's probably the way that you have done these problems the most often, and without a doubt the most. And it's probably really comfortable for you. Now, in my opinion, this particular one gives us a point and a slope. So I think it makes sense to use point-slope form. Also, another thing, as we go on, we'll see more and more things written in a different form than what we will call their standard form. And point-slope form is like this too. It's really helpful. So point-slope form is y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. Okay, well, x1 in this case, or y1 in this case, is 8, x1 is 1. So I would just substitute those values in. The slope was 5, and x1 is 1. Now notice it's still subtract because it says the opposite of those. And that's all it takes. That's why, in my opinion, there's a huge advantage to point-slope form when I'm given a point and a slope. It just makes it so much easier to do. Now, if I wanted to take this and put this into slope-intercept form to check this, well, parentheses are bad, so we get rid of the other parentheses. And then we move that 8 over there. We'd add it to both sides, and oh my gosh, look, we get the same answer. Okay, so they're both these two are an equational line, both of them having a slope of 5, both of them going through point 118. Because I'm given a point and a slope, I prefer to use point-slope form. Now, if they were told me what the slope and the y-intercept is, then I'd love to use this form because it's just right there. Nothing for me to do. I like that. So here we go. We're talking about point-slope form. Is y minus y1 is equal to m parentheses x minus x1. And the other part is this works for any particular point. I wonder what I can do to get this to work. I don't see it. Okay, so I'm out of luck. I want the parallel. So what this ends up saying, sorry about this, it works for a point and any point and the slope. It doesn't make any difference. It works out really well. So here we are again. Write the equation of a line What is an equation of a line through 7, -1 with the slope this? Now notice it doesn't specify. So because I'm given the point and a slope, I'm going to use point slope form. Whoops, x minus x1. So y was asking for the opposite of y1. Well, y1 was -1, so the opposite of that is 1. Slope is -3. X is asking for the opposite of x1, which is -7. That's all it takes. This is why I really like point slope. If you're given a point and a slope, it's right there. Okay. Now write an equation of a line passing through -5, 0, and 0, 7. What's the equation of a line in point slope form? Now they're very specific here. So, well, I have to in point slope form. I need to know the slope. Okay, so slope m is equal to y2 minus y1, or x2 minus x1. All right, let's call this y2. So 7 minus 0, and y1 is x1 is 0 minus -5. So that's 7/5. Oof, that's ugly. But now, which point do you want to choose? It doesn't make any difference. Matter of fact, I'll do them both. So let's say we start off with this one right here. So y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. So y minus 0 is equal to 7/5 x plus 5. Bam, that's all it takes. And now this the other way. And again, I'm old and kind of hard-headed, so I'm gonna keep writing out my formulas. Helps me to remember. So, and I'm old, so that means I need help remembering. So y minus 7 is equal to the slope was 7/5, and it'd be x minus 0. Do I have to write that? I don't have to write that. It'd just be 7/5 x. That's fine. Okay. Now, in this particular problem, quite honestly, if they would have asked for this in point and slope intercept form, hey, there's the y-intercept. So all I would have done for this is just figure out what the slope is. So y is equal to 7/5 x plus 7. Piece of cake. I can do it in either way. Doesn't make any difference. Again, I have to read. I have to know which form is which. And then I have to be comfortable and confident enough to be able to do those from there. Okay, now standard form. Standard form is really, really good when we're starting to talk about word problems and intercepts. But standard form ax plus by is equal to c. A, b, and c are real numbers. Notice this doesn't say anything about a point. It doesn't say anything about the slope. Okay, but it's really nice if I have it in this format, especially if A and B both play nicely with C, then this is really, really easy. So, converting forms. Now I gotta tell you, to go from standard form to convert it, almost everything when I convert, I put it back into point slope, to slope intercept form. So if I had this one, AX plus BY equals C. First thing I do is I subtract AX from both sides. So I get by is equal to -ax plus c. And then I divide everything by b. Oop, that's a b. So I end up with y is equal to the opposite of a over b times c plus c over b. That's what, if I had to convert this, that's what I do for this. Standard form just doesn't work very nicely. Now, to go from point slope form to slope intercept form. Most times the conversion is always to slope intercept form. Well, for this one, I would get rid of the parentheses, and then I'd add the y1. Now remember, these things all right here are going to be numbers. It's going to work out really easy. That is ugly, but that's what I would do. Okay, now summary of this. Slope-intercept form. Y is equal to mx plus b. Need slope and y-intercept. Used a lot. It's used the most. This is kind of your go-to. This is probably the one I would say 75% of the time you don't get into it. Okay, probably, maybe I'm really wrong. You could probably go up almost maybe to 85%. You'll live in this. Now the next one, and like I said, I put in the battle for this one. I really like this. Point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. Okay, works best if you have a point and the slope. Okay, both of them. If you don't know the slope, if you're given 2 points, you gotta find the slope no matter what. It is used. Let's say if we're going with 75%, this is probably used 20 to 10% of the time. Okay, well that means that the last one is standard form. Ax plus by equals c. Now, great for x-intercepts and y-intercepts, especially when graphing. Other thing it's good for, word problems. I see a lot of problems that can be written in this form. It's usually used, I would say, 5% of the time. Okay, so if you're really good with slope-intercept form, you're going to be really well off. That's not a big problem. You can deal with that. You'll see some standard form problems just because of the word problems. Point slope is one of those. It's an acquired taste. I really like it, but not necessarily all my colleagues don't necessarily like it as much as I do. I think they're wrong though. Okay, so here's an equation. 2x minus 4y is equal to 8. The directions say graph this using slope and y-intercept. Okay, so that means if I see slope and y-intercept, that means I'm trying to get this in slope-intercept form. So 2x minus 4y is equal to 8. Well, I'm going to subtract the 2x from both sides. I'm going to divide everything by 4. So negative 2 divided by 4 is positive 1/2. And 8 divided by that by 4 is negative 2. Perfect. So I go down here 2. I go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, 1 over 2, 1 over 2. And then off of the screen. There's my graph of this. Okay. Now, if I had a problem like this, I would not have done it this way, honestly. The directions tell me to, so that's what I do. Now, in this particular problem, it says graph this using intercept. This is exactly how I would do it. All right, so the first one, I don't put a 0 in for the x. This goes away. Negative 4y is equal to 8. Y is equal to negative 2. Okay, so here's my x coordinate for this was already 0. My y coordinate is negative 2. So I plot that over 0 down 2 per dot. Now let's do the other one. Let's figure out what that's the y-intercept. Let's figure out what the x-intercept is. To do that, I don't put that 0 in for the y. This goes away. divide both sides by 2, I get 4. So that means this is 4 comma 0. So over 4 of 0 per dot. And let's see here. And so if I did that, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Notice those are the same thing. Same exact line. Goes through the same point. Now, this one, if I were seeing this problem, if I didn't have any directions, I'd just graph this. I would graph this using this format. See how the 2 and the -4 play nice with the 8? Since they play nice, I would do that. Now, if this happened to be uh, 81 or 18 even, 18 is not very nice because it doesn't play well with the 4. So anything, if they both play nice with the last number, then it's really nice, really easy to do. But if it doesn't play nice, I don't know if I'd use it. I try not to use that form very often. Now, parallel lines. This is cool. Parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, so if I had y is equal to 3x plus 4, and y minus 8 is equal to 3 parentheses x plus 19. Those two lines are parallel. Okay, this is in point-slope form, not slope-intercept form. So that means my slope for this is 3. This particular one is in point-slope form, and this, the slope is 3. Now, the only thing I have to check is, are they the same? Well, I know this goes through 0, 4. If I were to do this one, and all I'm really interested in is making sure they're not. So let's say I distribute this 3 to everything. So I get y minus 8 is equal to 3x plus, I believe that's 57. Well, this was 4. Even when I move this 8 over here, it ain't going to be 50. It ain't going to be 4. So these two lines are parallel. So sometimes I have to check to make sure they're not exactly the same. That's what I just did there. Now, perpendicular. These are opposite reciprocals of each other. Okay, what the heck is that? So if I have 2/3, its perpendicular slope would be the opposite side, and reciprocal says flip me. Okay, so let's say I have a slope of -6. The perpendicular slope of this, I'm going to make this as 6/1. That means when I flip this, it's going to be 1/6. It was negative, now it's positive. Okay, now these work out to be exactly the same type of waves. I see, as you can tell, I really don't want to use, let's say this is 3x plus 19, and then its perpendicular line, see how this slope is 3? Okay, so I don't care where it hits at all. So since this is, so I'm going to go with this, that's 3, so it's going to be negative 1/3 x, and I can go plus 4. Now those two lines, I don't know where they intersect, but I know they're not going to be parallel, and they're not going to be the same. They're not going to be the same because these two slopes are different. They're not parallel because this is the opposite reciprocal of this. All right, now your next thing, okay, write the equation of a line that's parallel, goes through this point and is parallel to this. Okay, well, right away here, I have a point. So I'm thinking maybe point-slope form. And I have a slope. So the slope of this line is -2. And it needs to go through -2, 2. And see, it asks for an equation. It doesn't specify how. So you know what? I'm just going to do this one in point-slope form. This is just so easy to do this. I want the opposite of this one. The slope we decided was -2. Right there it is. And x, the opposite of this. Got it. Now, what happens if this direction would have been to put this into slope-intercept form? I would have still done it this way, and then from here I distribute this -2 to everything. And then I'd add the 2 to both sides. I have it. I really think that's easy. I really like that. I want to try one other one that doesn't say about. Let's make it perpendicular to this. Okay, so the first thing, here's the slope stuff. So the perpendicular slope is going to be 1/2. Now, that's once I get this is easy because now I know this, and I'm going to go with the same format that I did last time. So I still think that's the easiest. I want the opposite of this slope, and the opposite of this. There we go. Got it. All right, here's your assignment for today. I'm sorry, I don't want you to do these last ones here. I just want you to do 1 through 6, 11 through 29, and 32 through 35. All right. Now, I do expect that you have some questions with this. Please make sure that you send me an email about those things. I'll try to do. I can set myself up so that I can do this really pretty quick and easy for you, so that you guys can get a little bit of help with this. Please double check your grades. Make sure you got everything turned in. Okay, those are live and updated for parents and people to see. Other than that, have yourself a good